Hi, I'm Don Liu. I'm a professor of education at the NEAG School at the University of Connecticut, and I hold the endowed chair in literacy and technology here and direct the New Literacies Research Lab. And we work in a number of collaborative projects with the New Literacies Collaborative down there at North Carolina State. Um, let's see, I'm going to spend a few minutes just to talk a little bit about what we call online research and comprehension these days. Used to be called online comprehension, but it's a little more precise to call it online research and comprehension. What is it? Well, it's pretty much how we read on the internet. Much of our reading on the internet is inquiry reading. That is, we use the internet to learn new things and acquire new knowledge. And so it's really reading to learn online is what online research and comprehension is all about. And the work that we've done shows that there are at least 5 different elements to it that are useful from an instructional point of view and also from a diagnostic point of view as you watch kids in classrooms conducting inquiry reading. Um, so, what are they? Well, the first one is identifying a good question, and sometimes you have to read a little bit to get the right question, and so that sort of strategy is an important one. That is using information you find to reshape the initial question you had. There's also locating skills that include both traditional search engine use, but also reading and drilling down through a web page to locate the precise information that you need. So keyword entry and reading search engine results and making inferences from links on a web page, those are all skills that are important in that area. Also critical evaluation, especially the evaluation of sources for reliability. How do you evaluate a web page for its reliability? And we find that it's important for kids to understand how to locate the author, evaluate the author's expertise, and determine the author's point of view, and then use those 3 elements to evaluate reliability. Synthesis is a 4th area, and most kids only read a single web page, they draw a conclusion, and they say that's it. But really, the better readers, online readers, are ones that go to multiple web pages trying to locate consistent information. And so synthesis of information between multiple web pages is another important area. And then finally, communicating skills, whether by email or texting or video conferencing or even Facebook. If you're looking for information, we use communicate skills to acquire information about during inquiry reading, asking people what they know about things and also sharing information. So those are the 5 areas that we find that are important. Recently, we've done a study on this area between economically advantaged school districts and economically challenged school districts. And what we found actually was quite interesting. Statistically, you can control for pretest differences in state reading scores. State reading scores only measure offline reading. So we controlled for pretest differences between the 2 different districts in offline reading. We also controlled for prior knowledge differences, because that often is different between different populations. And finally, we controlled for state writing scores because we include communicate in our definition of online research and comprehension, and we wanted to remove any differences there. So what we found was that there's a separate and independent achievement gap based on income inequality in this study. It's above and beyond the achievement gap with traditional offline reading. So there's a separate element to online research and comprehension, or online reading, that is an achievement gap that we don't include in Common Core, for example. You don't see the words internet or online in the Common Core state anchor standards anywhere. And we don't include them in the current state standards in states. You don't find online or internet very often at all. And so we believe that suggests that it's critically important, especially in terms of income inequality and in terms of equal opportunity, that we begin to aggressively support students' acquisition of these online reading skills to acquire new information and to learn new things. Now the question then becomes, what can we do in our classrooms? And I'm going to send along an article that will identify 20 practical steps that you can use, but I'll just mention a couple here that you can do right away. And the first is to have students work in pairs when you have them do online research and comprehension, when you ask them to look up information or try and solve a problem. We find that the research shows that students who collaborate together do much better at this than when they're reading individually. So it's critically important to collaborate. Another element is to what we call helping the last become the first. When you bring in a new technology, it might be if you're introducing a school email system, or if you're introducing a new tool in the class, maybe a video tool or anything else in the classroom that has a new technology that requires new literacies. We think it's really important that you teach your weakest student in the classroom, the most marginalized students in the classroom, that skill first and make them the experts with those new literacies. And then they can teach other students the literacies of that particular tool. So at the second grade level, if you bring in a new drawing program and teach your weakest readers and writers or your most marginalized students how that tool works, and then set up an activity perhaps in your computer center in the classroom where all of the students have to go through and complete an activity, and then have those students work as the experts helping everyone else with these new literacies. With new literacies, we have the opportunity to really help the last become first by teaching them the new skills that are required for any new tool before other students, and give them the literacies before other students get them. Making them the experts is quite an effective strategy. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful time in your course, and I know Hiller and her colleagues will just do an exceptional job, and wish you the very best, especially as the new school year begins. It's always a time for new beginnings, and it's a very exciting time for all of us as the new school year begins. So good luck and best wishes. Take care.